Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Annie and I'm a health advisor based in London. My background's actually in nutrition, so I've done a master's in public health nutrition, and today what we're going to talk about is making the most of working from home. We're going to have a look at physical activity, we'll have a look at nutrition, and we're also going to have a little look at staying connected at this time. So first of all, what is physical activity? So it's defined as any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscles that requires energy expenditure, and adults should aim to be active daily. So over a week, activity should add up to at least 150 minutes, which is 2.5 hours, of moderate intensity activity. And one way to approach that is to do 30 minutes on at least 5 days a week. Alternatively, comparable benefits can actually be achieved through 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity, spread across the week, or even a combination of moderate and vigorous intensity. Now, alongside this, adults should also undertake physical activity to improve muscle strength on at least 2 days a week, and minimise the amount of time being spent sedentary for extended periods. Now, examples of a moderate exercise could include a brisk walk or a cycle outside, which can make use of one of our excursions outside following the government rules. Or at home activity could include gardening or indoor cycling or housework like hoovering. With moderate exercise, what we usually say is that it's exercise when you can still hold a little bit of a conversation. So you're working but you can still speak. If we look at vigorous exercise, it could involve kicking a football about, jogging, hill walking, or even faster cycling, still again making sure we follow government guidelines. So with the vigorous exercise, you probably feel that you're more out of breath and you're not really able to hold a conversation. Now, the benefits of physical activity are sort of generally well known, so we don't need to go through all of these, but just to pull out a few examples. Regular physical activity can reduce the risk of major illnesses such as heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes and cancer by up to 50%, and can also lower your risk of early death by up to 30%. It can also help to reduce the aggressiveness of prostate cancer. Now, this is because obesity is linked to the aggressiveness of the cancer, so reducing weight reduces the aggressiveness of the disease. Furthermore, as well as the use of regular physical activity to help maintain a healthy weight, it's also been found to improve self-esteem as well as reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, which is particularly important at the moment with so much change in our routine. We want to try and look after how we feel and our mental well-being, and exercise is great to do that. So, how can we fit movement into our lives right now? First of all, we want to make sure that we're regularly stretching. We want to stretch our neck and our shoulders, and particularly while we're working. When we are working in a new environment, it might slip your mind to do that, but it is important, particularly if you haven't got a specific office or office chair or desk. So what does keeping active mean if we're at home more? We might have to get a little bit more creative. Now, as recommended by the Department of Health, we should perform strength exercise twice a week. This is proven to keep bones strong and healthy and helps to maintain functional activity into later life. Strength can include exercises using your own body weight or with the addition of extra weights. And body weight exercises are great and they're easy to do from home with no additional equipment needed. So for a few examples, we could include squats, we could include lunges, doing a plank or push-ups or bridges. And if you do want to add extra weight to the exercises, have a look at things that you have around the house. So maybe it's tins or books. I've seen quite a few people online doing workouts with rucksacks filled with books to add extra weight. Now, aerobic exercise will vary for everyone and it's dependent on how much space you have. It can take many different forms. So, as we previously mentioned, it could be doing housework like hoovering or cleaning the surfaces, or it could even be putting on your 3 favourite songs and having a dance around the flat. We want to try do aerobic exercise in stints of 10 minutes or more if possible, but actually any little bit counts. And HIIT training, so high intensity interval training, might be a great way to fit activity into a short period of time. Online there are some great resources for exercise, particularly YouTube. I'm currently a fan of Joe Wicks, so the body coach is doing HIIT training sessions which are around 20 minutes long, which is great to fit into my day. And also there's quite a few good Bollywood dance tutorials on YouTube. Now, if you are at home with children, then it's a great idea to get them involved with your exercise. So you might ask them what they want to do. So you could create PE classes. There are currently some being done by Joe Wicks on weekdays at 9 o'clock. You might create obstacle courses. You could get them to choose the songs that they want to dance to, and then you can exercise together. Another thing to mention is you might want to keep camaraderie with your work colleagues, and exercise could be a great way to do this. A friend of mine's recently done Skype yoga for 30 minutes over their lunchtime in order to keep morale up and fit exercise in. Moving on to diet, you might be familiar with the Eat Well guide, and it illustrates the proportions of main food groups that form a healthy, balanced diet. And although our routine may be different at the moment, we still want to try and base our diet around this. So what we want to try and do is eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables every day. We want to base meals on potatoes, bread, rice, pasta or other starchy carbohydrates, trying to choose whole grain versions where possible, although I do know that it's not always possible at the moment. We want to have some dairy or dairy alternatives such as soya drinks, choosing lower fat and lower sugar options. And we also want to make sure that we eat some protein, such as fish, eggs, meat, or beans and pulses if eating less animal products. If you do eat fish, try to get 2 portions a week, including 1 oily one. And the reason for this is that we want to get some good, healthy, unsaturated fats into our diet. So other foods that include this involve avocado, nuts, seeds, it could be chickpeas, olive oil or flaxseed. And the healthy fats are actually essential for a healthy heart and healthy brain. If you are consuming foods and drinks high in saturated fats or salt or sugar, try and have them less often and in small amounts. Now, as we know, a poor diet can really impact our bodies in many different ways. So what we want to do is look at a few practical tips to help us to do that when our usual routine has been disrupted. Let's try and make it as easy as possible for ourselves. So first of all, try to keep to a routine. Make sure you plan in breaks and lunchtime. And when it is lunchtime, take the time to prepare a healthy meal rather than just eating bits and pieces from the fridge or cupboard. I think have a protein-rich breakfast. It's really helpful to try prevent mid-morning snacking. So it could be a variety of things. It could be eggs or smoked salmon and toast. It could be avocado, maybe overnight oats with berries or cottage cheese on toast. You could include peanut butter or a variety of beans. I've been recently making sort of a shakshuka type thing with mixed beans and tinned tomatoes and herbs, which is really great in the morning. Or even if you're not usually a breakfast person, maybe a smoothie could help you get extra micronutrients and protein in just to start the day with a hit of goodness. It's also important to take care of your immune system. Now, while it can be difficult to try and boost your immune system, as it is a complex system that needs balance to function well, the best thing to do is to live a healthy lifestyle and have a varied diet. So make sure that you're eating lots of fruit and vegetables. This is a way that we can get most of the micronutrients we need, so things like vitamin A, vitamin C. And what we say is try to eat a rainbow, as often the different colours in the vegetables and fruit mean that there's different micronutrients available. Now, if you do have kids, then you might be able to make a game out of it. So often children get used to eating one type of fruit or vegetable or might not like others. So maybe try get them involved with drawing out a rainbow from all the different coloured fruits and veg they've eaten in the day. Remember, fruit and veg doesn't actually have to be fresh. Frozen and tinned counts too. However, if you are having tinned fruits, try not to get them in syrup as it can add extra unneeded sugar. We also want to try to resist tempting snacks. I know it's difficult sometimes, but if you have treats in the house, try and arrange them in the cupboard so that they're hard to reach or out of sight. Or better still, don't buy them in the first place. Instead, make it easy to eat the things that are good for you, such as having fresh fruit on the counter. Try not to take snacks to your desk space as well, as this might lead to mindless eating and also eating more than you intended. It'll also start to encourage bad habits, such as eating lunch in front of your laptop too. We also want to just mention trying to limit too much caffeine. We usually say sort of 3 to 4 coffees maximum a day, or 4 to 5 cups of tea, preferably less. Now, a final tip, if Use if-then implementation plans. So if you want to sort of reach for the biscuits, then you do have a backup plan. And an example could be, if I am craving a biscuit, then I will drink a glass of water, and just see how your body feels after that. Now, it's also really important for us to try to stay connected. We as human beings need to feel connected, and while we aren't allowed to go outside unless absolutely necessary, it's really important for us to avoid feeling lonely. So each person will have a different way to do this, but here are a few things that might actually help. So you could distract yourself with a hobby or an activity. It might be painting, reading, or learning a new skill. Currently, the Open University is making a lot of their courses free to access, so you might try out a course on a topic that has potentially always interested you. I've heard of people getting creative, making Easter cards, or birthday cards for the future, or picking up their knitting needles to revisit that. Spending time with family and friends remotely might also help, so make sure you're observing correct social distancing measures and not leaving the house unless absolutely necessary. And we might have to get creative, so using video call apps that allow people to speak up or catch up from homes. It might be playing board games with people you live with, or online games with friends. And also, when you're not surrounded by your teammates at work, it can feel a bit lonely at home, but there are ways to reduce this with a bit of remote teamwork. So you could organise something like a 10-minute scheduled team call once a week that focuses not on work, but how everyone's doing, if they've got any concerns or anything positive to say. You can also increase the frequency to a few times a week if you want to, although I'm really aware that currently people are spending a lot of time on calls and it might not be practical. It might be a phone call, or if you have the facilities, a video conference call, just so you can see each other's faces. Chat to your team about it and when would be a good time of day to try it out. You could even try it at lunchtime too, for a bit more of an informal conversation. If you are working on a project with a colleague, you could even set up a video call while you're both working. You might not be talking much, but the sounds of each other tapping away can provide companionship while you work. Also worth saying, when it's time for a break, try to spend time with your family if you're all at home together, or give a friend a call if you're in need of a bit of company. Now, people often say to me that we use texting or WhatsApp to stay in touch more often now. However, to try and minimise loneliness, we might find that picking up the phone or video call is more beneficial. And if you don't have anyone to speak to and you are feeling isolated, there are some support lines that you can call, like Mind or Samaritans. We also want to focus on the positives. So while it is a difficult time with lots of changes, try to focus on the positives. It's nice to have a think about the good things that are still happening, even though we might not notice them all the time. So every few days, me and my pals have a think about it. And lots of different things have come up that might be a positive thing for us to mention. So speaking to neighbours over the fence that they've never spoken to, and not commuting as much, and getting chances to try new recipes. Now, on this slide, there are some links for further support. So the top one shows the Bupa Coronavirus Hub. It's updated regularly, so if you do want any more information, you can have a look on there. And the link underneath just shows the Bupa Health blog as well. So again, updated regularly with more information for you. So that's the end of the talk today. And I think just before we finish, I want to stress that it's okay to feel a bit weird at this time, and we can only do what we can. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself if you're not doing exercise every day or eating a rainbow, and just pick it back up when you can. I hope there has been some useful information for you in the talk, and thanks very much for listening.